Good morning, everybody. I hope you live in the part of the country that is actually experiencing spring instead of the rest of us who are still experiencing winter. Hope you had a good weekend. This is our Monday morning call, as usual. It's the time to ask questions, make comments, tell us what's going wrong, tell us what's going right, and everybody benefits from those things. So as we go through some of these topics, if you've got questions, concerns, or want to share some stories, go ahead and type those in, and we will open up or repeat them for you. Or you can always call in on the line or use headphones, and we can open up your line and talk to you. So before we get started in today's topic, I want to, on one of our Friday calls, Pam, somebody I've worked with for many years, was talking about something that she's done extremely well, in fact, better than I've ever seen anybody else do it. And everybody on the call was really interested in what she had to say. So I thought I would go ahead and have her speak on a Monday morning call as well, so that everybody can benefit from her experience and her expertise on this particular thing. So what she's done is called a breakfast club, and it's a great way to get in front of people in a very low-key way, and you can actually build a very big following by doing that. So I want to let you guys in on some of the things that she's been doing. So she's kind enough to talk to us today. So Pam, can you hear me? Hopefully. She's going to unmute herself probably. Pam? Oh, there she goes, I think.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
here. Can you hear
All
me
right.
now?
Perfectly.
Okay. What I want to do is just give you folks an idea of how this breakfast club has evolved. I started it back in 2007. It meets the same time, same place each month. Here in Wichita, Kansas, we have in the center of town a nice organization called Botanica Gardens. It gives me the opportunity to pull people from surrounding communities, people who ordinarily I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet. The room costs $75. That's a deal. The attendees, after they have come to the breakfast club, can actually go out and view the gardens on days that it's nice. They actually have a butterfly house and all of the things that they could enjoy. And this is at no additional cost to my guests. So I also advertise that feature. We meet every third Tuesday of the month, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. I serve only coffee and baked sweets. At one time when I first started out, I was making homemade treats. I no longer have time to do that. I just go by the bakery shop and just buy something that I know they would enjoy. The regulars love the breakfast club so much that they are now showing up early to help set up and to visit with me and some of their friends. I even had one client tell me just recently she was recovering from her foot surgery, and her husband left her, this is the morning of the breakfast club, walker and all, to fend for herself to get to her doctor's appointment because he likes coming to the meetings and did not want to miss out on any of our great information. So back in 2007, how I started up, I contacted my close clients and asked them to bring gifts. I also placed an ad in a newspaper that is printed just for the older people in this area. The circulation is about 90,000. I pay even a bit extra to keep that ad in the same spot in the newspaper, and that ad costs $179. So you can see for about $250 a month, I'm able to do some great prospecting and keep my clients happy. Let's see here now. I also started offering quarterly drawings because older people like gifts and freebies. And with those who attended for the first time, they could put their name into the drawing, and those clients and people who attend that bring a guest could put their name in the drawing too. And I always made certain that that gift was really nice to motivate them to bring additional people to the breakfast club. Now, since we'll be starting this August in the 6th year of doing the Breakfast Club, asking them to always bring a guest has kind of died off, but I still make certain that I reward everybody for being there by letting everybody put their name into the drawing on a quarterly basis. I have a signed-in roster. I don't mess around with name tags and anything like that. I just have them sign in. And those who wish to attend know that they have to call and reserve a space. I just have that done here at the office with the receptionist. They have to reserve a space for themselves and for their guests. A few times I've had too many people for the size of the room, and the people who called in at the last minute had to be turned away only because of fire regulations. So to me, this gives them a sense of urgency each month. If it's a topic they want to hear about, they're going to make sure that they sign up. I also ask the people who attend for the first time to fill out the worksheet evaluation sheet. I just modified it a bit for the Breakfast Club. This way I know who is new, do they want to be on my mailing list, and so forth. And those who attended for the first time, that very morning after I get back to the office, I write a handwritten note to them, thanking them for attending and inviting them to join us again each month. I started years ago just by taking a hot topic and allowing the attendees to interact with each other. I soon didn't like doing that because it always went to politics, and I had the heart of hearing complaining that they were not hearing the important things. So then I tried presenting topics, but that wasn't drawing the quantity of people that I desired. That is when I started inviting other business people to speak. I now have regulars like the H&R Block Master Tax Advisor to speak every January because her company always has these nice handouts ready to go about what's new with the tax laws. In September, I always have a representative from the County Extension Office to speak about what is coming with Medicare Part D and to make her office known to them for help and for assistance. I have a psychologist here in the building that I invited to speak. He works only with the elderly. I've also found that the attendees love fun topics. Like a couple of months ago, I found an 87-year-old man that was a Tuskegee Airman. He was just awesome. They loved hearing him. They also loved to hear about trips. I had a couple that had pictures to show them on day trips in Kansas. We had way too many people in the room, but this is what I wanted to accomplish, just to have more names, more people to mail to, more people who know who I am. Now I'm actually starting to build relationships with the speakers that I am now working with. It just hit me even yesterday that I should invite that independent P&C person to speak at the Breakfast Club. That would be a great way to start building a relationship with the right one, the right P&C agent, and go from there. I'm also building a relationship with the ad lady from the newspaper. She has given me referrals in the business world. One just agreed to speak in August. He works for the Department of Aging. So you can see how this is growing. And he's also a professor at the Wichita State University. You know where my mind's going with that. Trip.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
trip, exactly. I speak at the Breakfast Club when I have something to share with the group. That's me, myself. And I find sometimes when I put the ad that I'm the speaker that I don't have a lot of people there, but that's okay. Just like when I presented TRIP last month, I still had plenty of handouts to plant the idea of how my clients and friends can bring people into the focus groups that I'm setting up here at the office. Also, I've had leads from that trip presentation at the Breakfast Club into the Y with the Water Club, an eye doctor's office, to do an evening meal and learn. I received a call even this month about the topic, which is tomorrow. The receptionist just told me that I have 38 people registered. We're doing something fun. We're going to be fit for life, and they love it. I have a lady who works at the Y coming in with some basic equipment just to show them some simple exercises. And one of the calls that I had that I was just going to tell you about for this month's topic, this lady is looking for a speaker at her senior church group. So I have her scheduled to come in to preview TRIP and show her some of the other tools that Mike has given us, like Mike helped me. I'm trying to think of the non-financial things.
Oh, like survivor's guides and powers of attorney and that kind of stuff.
That's what my brain was trying to think of. And I figure either way, she's going to invite me to come and talk with her group. So I've just gone on and on about how this has built. You just start meeting people with something as simple as this, Mike, that only cost me around $250 a month.
Well, I thought what you did was ingenious. Was with some of these speakers, you then set up a time to show them the trip and their staff the trip.
Yes.
Because you have to show them and their staff the trip in order before they will actually feel comfortable letting you show it to their clients. So I thought that was ingenious.
Yes, that was just one of those, I guess, the light bulb in my head, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that was it. Because here's the thing. You're giving them the opportunity to get in front of lots of people, so they don't want to give that up. So when you ask them just to let them preview an idea, and if the idea makes sense to them, then they're going to put you in front of their clients. If the idea doesn't make sense, well, then you still can come and keep presenting idea and idea until you find an idea that makes sense to them. But otherwise, they're not going to let you get in there and even present, because you have to give them first before they're going to listen to you. So I think what you're doing is fantastic. Now, what I think some of the things that you've really hit on that work really well is you found a destination. So it's not a restaurant. It's not a conference room. It's a destination. So people can, because people when they retire don't sit in their living rooms with their shades drawn. They want to do something. So what you've done is give them an opportunity to go out to a nice place. So you could do it at a botanical gardens like you're doing, or a Cabela's. People love Cabela's, or those big outdoorsy stores that they could walk around for all day long. A zoo. I mean, a library. A museum would be also work. So I think that's a fantastic idea that you came up with. Same time every month, fantastic. Same place in the newspaper, fantastic. And then working in other professionals, because you can still give your 10-minute spiel at the beginning or at the end, and you're getting your little advertisement in there, as well as letting the professionals, and then you're building, which is really important, those relationships with those other business owners that can be a huge resource for you in referrals and credibility. So I just think what you're doing is fantastic, and I wanted everybody to hear about it, Pam. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So before we let Pam go, is there any questions that we have for Pam, Missy?
I've got a couple. Can we get a copy of your invitation? And give us an example of the quarterly drawing gifts.
With the quarterly drawing, I will go to one of the nice gift stores and put a basket together. Like if it's June, it'll be for barbecuing with all the fancy things, aprons, utensils, and so forth in there. If it's cold, then I'll have them put together something that's good for the season. I always spend about $50 for it. Even in the past, I have done gift certificates where they can use them at a restaurant, movie tickets, just whatever strikes my fancy. But I found that they really like seeing that beautiful basket sitting on the table that they know they're going to draw for.
And Pam, what would you say the percentage, just based, not exact, but of new faces every month?
When I first started out, I would say the new faces were about 30 to 50%. But now I have my regulars, and if I get 3 to 8 new people in there each month, I'm happy.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Well, I just think it's a fantastic way for $250. Again, you make your own luck, guys. And Pam's making all sorts of her own luck with this by having, like she mentioned, people that will attend and see that what she does is very professional and very friendly and very well received by the audience. She's going to get approached to do these things for other people, like she talked about with the church group. So she's making her own luck for $250 a month. I think that's just a wonderful, wonderful success story. So thanks for sharing that, Pam.
You're welcome.
Super. Any other questions before I let Pam go?
No other questions.
Okay, so if they come in, then we'll circle back. Okay.
Perfect.
So if something pops into your head, we'll go back. So thanks again, Pam. Appreciate it. Okay, so we'll get onto our topic today, which is I'm going to kind of lead into with the London Millennial Bridge. Anybody know what went on with the London Millennial Bridge? So walking bridge across the Thames River in London, and they spent $1 gazillion on it. And something happened the very first time they opened it up. So that when they opened it up and everybody rushed onto the bridge, what happened to the bridge? Well, here's what happened. There was only, this bridge can hold probably 5 times the weight of a packed bridge. It's over-engineered. But when people got on it, there was a little bit of wind. And the bridge started to sway a little bit. And when you got a bunch of people on the bridge and it starts to sway, guess what everybody did? They either fell down, which they didn't, or they're going to adjust their feet. So when the wind blew, they all adjusted their feet at different times or at the same time, do you think? They all adjusted their feet at the same time. And then when the wind subsided, they adjusted their feet at the same time, and then blew, adjusted, and pretty soon this bridge was swaying like a son of a gun to the point people were falling down. So what happens when everybody moves, even to something that's over-engineered, something that's not supposed to be fallible, something that's supposed to be, like the Titanic, something that is not supposed to be damaged? What happens when everybody starts doing the same thing at the same time? Can that throw a huge wrench in the works? So what am I talking about? What do you think? Any idea? Subject collapse, exactly right, Al. So what do you think the analogy of this is? Because I didn't invent this analogy. It was actually invented by an economist. And it was his point about what, do you think, guys? Bank run? Absolutely, Dale. I would go along with that. Bank run? Absolutely. What else? What do we got here? Herd mentality, and how the herd mentality affects what, guys? And this herd mentality can happen in everybody buying in the stock market, Kevin. Exactly right. Everybody buying in the stock market, or worse, everybody what? Selling in the stock market. Exactly, Kevin. So 3 times in the last 25 years, 87, 2000, 2008, we've seen crashes. And the last 2 crashes, guess why those crashes occurred? Because everybody did what? Sold at the same time. That's a problem. And these crashes, are they coming sooner or further apart or closer together than they used to? Are they coming? Right. Why? Why do you think they're coming faster and faster together? It's very, you guys should know this at a gut level. Why are they coming faster and faster together? What's happening that would cause them to come faster and faster together? What's happening that would cause people to react? Social media, Kevin, exactly. Information. So people are all moving much more rapidly in sync than they ever used to be able to. In 1987, would I have any clue what everybody else was doing? Until what? The evening paper or the evening news? No. 2000, well, I had a little bit clearer picture. But today, how quickly do I know what everybody's doing? We got Twitter. How quickly can I know what everybody's doing? I've got what do you call those things that run across the bottom of my computer, so I know exactly what people are doing. These things are coming faster and faster because everybody knows what everybody else is doing, and I don't want to be the last one out the door. So when people start selling, people sell fast. Then you add, what else? Besides people moving in lockstep, what else do we have moving in lockstep, guys? What caused the flash, what caused the flash crash just a few years ago where some of these stocks lost, like Google lost, and I think Apple even lost like 80% instantaneously. And then it came back a minute or two later, but it lost 80% instantaneously. What else besides people? Computer trade programming, exactly, Dale. So these things are happening faster and faster, not slower and slower. So the markets are even riskier than you think, because the thing is, up to 2000, we could define risk. We could define risk, but the risks have gotten much riskier than they used to be. And guess how many people in the public or even in our industry understand that? Very, very few. So what are the new risks that we did not have to deal with? Well, the emergence of the new financialized capitalism, the rise of speculation and decline of investing, the increase of derivatives and the use of leverage, shadow banking and lack of transparency, and the problem of too big to fail. So let's go walk through these. What is financial capitalism? Well, here's what it is. The top 1% in our country in 1929 owned 23 or controlled 23% of the assets, which was bad enough. And why is that bad, guys? Why is it bad when 1% control 23% of the assets? Why is that bad? Think about it. When you have 1% of the people controlling most of the assets, what can happen? That 1% doing dough-headed things can do what to everybody else? Too much power. Exactly, Casey. Too much power. Because if 1%, and do we find the 1% does stupid things? Do we find the 1% does stupid things? That's the definition of what happened in 2008, right? The top 1% did idiotic things, and who paid for it? Them or us and everybody else in the country? So here's the thing. Not only did they control 23% of the assets, but did they use their own money to take risks, guys? Just like in 2008. Were they using their own money to take risks? No, Al. Whose money were they using? No, Jeff. Whose money were they using? So even though they controlled 23% of the risk, they used the other 75% of the money to take the risk, not their own. Now, here's the thing. After 1929, that all went away, right? And slowly, it started to creep back up. But still, by 1980, the top 1% only controlled 9%, which is about a third of what they controlled in 1929. A third. But guess what's happened since then, guys? We're back to the top 1% controlling 23% of all assets, and it's the only time this has been higher was in the time of robber barons. So if you want to be a robber baron, that's fantastic. But if you're the same as everybody else, or if you're the middle class or upper middle class, how's that helping you? It's not. It's hurting us. And it's hurting investors. So that's a risk that we have not. And again, what do you think is happening to this 23%? Do you think it's higher today or lower today than it was in 2007? Think it's higher or lower? Higher. I've seen now it's up to 29%, which means it's actually approaching times that higher than when it was with the robber barons. Do you get that this is? Guys? First of all, I want to see some answers to this. Do you think that this is a problem that could affect the average investor out there, which is who we work with? How many people do we work with that have over $100 million of assets? We don't. So do you think? How does it affect our clients who have 100,000 up to 3, 4, 5 million? How do you think that affects them? Tremendously, exactly. I'm getting a lot of yeses and huges. Okay. So what do we? That's one risk. That's one risk. So why is that important? Well, in the last 5 years, the financial sector contributed just 20% to the GDP, but reaped 40% of corporate profits. This was done by creating financially engineered products with no value. So what's the problem with that, guys? When you have an economy where a sector is reaping 50%, almost 50% of the profits, and is really providing no value to the infrastructure, no value to the economy, because guys, really, is creating derivatives, which is where they're getting all their money from, all their profits from, is that really making our country better, able to compete in the world? Are we manufacturing things? Are we with this corporate profits, how many high-paying jobs are created with that 40% of corporate profits? Lots or basically none? So this is a problem. This is a problem because do you think that an economy is more stable or less stable when 1% of the people control 25% of the assets, they're using the other people's money to take the risks, and almost 50% of the profits come from a shadow industry that's providing virtually no jobs and no value to the economy? Is that making the economy more or less stable? A lot less, right? So these are risks. Are you talking about these risks to your clients? The second risk is the rise of speculation, the decline of investing. What do I mean by that? Well, there's lots of different things I can mean by that, but I'm just going to give you a basic, something that you can actually share with your clients. So, because there's lots of ways I could show this, but we could be here till the sun went down. So I'm just going to show you the one indication of that, and that's turnover. So we all know what turnover is, right? If you have a mutual fund, or you have an annuity, or you have whatever, how many times will they sell the stocks inside that investment and then repurchase new ones? Well, in 1951, it was 25%. By 1998, it was 100%. You want to guess what it was by 2008? Anybody? Yep, 215%. 215%. So what's the problem with that? Well, it's the difference between speculation and investing. When you invest, how long do you hold? When you invest, how long do you hold? A long time. You invest for a long time, but when you speculate, how long do you hold? Obviously, much shorter. So does the economy based on investing or a company based on investing, is that more or less stable than an economy based on speculation or a company based on speculation? Yeah, you're right. Timing the market, you're exactly right. So it's a lot more unstable. The economy is a lot more unstable when it's based on speculation. And do we want unstable or stable if we're investing? We want stable. So that's another indication of risk that we did not have to deal with. I mean, look at it. It's twice as since 1998. That's twice as much speculation. Did we learn anything from the 2000 crash? No. Did we learn anything from the 1999 long-term capital management debacle? No. Just keeps going up and up and up. And why? Guys, why? Why is there more speculating going on? Why? Greed. Exactly, Casey. Greed, greed, greed. The common man greed or Wall Street greed? The middle market and the Wall Street, everybody's saying Wall Street. You're exactly right. So how much does turnover cost? According to John Bogle, it costs about $400 billion a year. And who's paying for that $400 billion? It's the investors, not the companies. So do you understand why we show turnover and give them the... Because if you just show turnover, you can show them the problems with turnover. Because, guys, if you think about the problems with turnover, it's this. If I have to turn over my stock 215%, that means I made how many mistakes that year? Because if I chose the right company, would I be doing buying and selling all the time, or would I hold that company? So 215% is an indication that I know what the hell I'm doing, or I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's an indication I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Because obviously, if I knew which companies to buy, I'd buy the ones that were going to grow. But if I have to turn over 215%, it means I made the first one I bought, I made a mistake. I got to get a different one. Well, that's the one. That one's wrong. I got to get a different one. All in 1 year? Come on. So that's bad enough. But when you start showing people the cost that it costs them, and Jeff, what's the cost according? And we looked at 3 or 4 different, because it depends on who you talk to, the actual cost per turnover. But what's a good number to use for turnover, Jeff? Cost.
The number that we're using in the proposal is 2.4%.
And we got that right from Wall Street Magazine, right?
Right.
And what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, the numbers, they go anywhere from up to 4%. Some people say it's as high as 4. 2.4 is somewhere kind of on the lower end.
Now, if you think so, we're not using the high end. We're using the low end. And if you think about it, that means that what, guys? If it's costing you 2.4%, it means you have to be able to buy something that outperforms the market by 20 or 30% just to get back to ground even, right? Do you get that? So if you have to buy something because you're paying 2.4% for turnover, we're looking at here, And that's for 100%. So if you have 200%, you're talking about 4% or more per investment. So if you have to buy something that outperforms the market by 20, 30, 40, 50, or at least 60%, what kind of asset do you have to buy? Something conservative or something even more speculative? You have to buy something even more speculative. So there's lots of reasons that turnover is bad. It's bad because it costs a lot of money. It's bad because the companies then have to buy something even more speculative just to make back the cost of that turnover. It goes on and on. It spirals out of control. That's another reason why, well, the second reason why we're in a much more riskier time than we used to be. But this is the king of why we're in a more risky times, derivatives. In 2007, when we had the crash, the derivatives were at 62 trillion. So obviously, and that's what, do you guys get it? That's what caused, you know, the credit and debit swaps and all of that. Those are derivatives. So we obviously learned our lesson, didn't we? Do you think we learned our lesson with derivatives, guys? No, you're right, Kevin. In fact, I talked about, well, not me. I was trumpeting what other economists were saying in the mid-2000s, saying these derivatives are going to kill us. And was I right? And were they? I'm sorry. Was me trumpeting these economists saying the derivatives are going to kill us? Were they right? And was I right for trumpeting it? Yes. It nearly put us in a worldwide depression. So we obviously learned our lesson. Don't use derivatives anymore, right? 2009, 600 trillion. Let's do some high math here. What's higher, 62 trillion or 600 trillion? Well, obviously we can't go any higher than that, can we? Want to guess what it is today? Guess how many derivatives are being used in the world today? Hey, good job, Eric. How the hell did you know that? $1.2 trillion. I'm sorry, $1,200 trillion or 1.2 quadrillion. Quadrillion. We're into the quadrillions. So what's the importance of that? Well, that's 20 times larger than the global economy. And can I ask you a question? Do derivatives provide any value to the country, to the world, to the economy, or is it purely a profit-making? Is it purely a profit-making device that banks, investment banks, have come up with? See, one of the biggest risks of the world's financial health is the 1.2 quadrillion derivatives market. It's complex. It's unregulated. Oh, fantastic. It's unregulated, and it ought to be of concern to world leaders. Why? Why are derivatives so dangerous? Because here's the thing, and we learned this in 2007. What happens when a company is using a hedge with derivatives bought from another company, and that company fails or can't make promised payments? What happens? And look at, we're not 10 times, I don't even know what that is, guys. We're not 10 times more than we were in 2007. We're, I guess that'd be what, 20 times? I don't know what that would, what, $1.2 quadrillion? That's crazy. So do you think things are riskier now than they were before, or less risky than they were before? 200%. Thanks, Kevin. So it's crazy. And why? Why are they doing it? Why are these people on Wall Street in the shadows? Why are they doing this? Because here's the thing: when you regulate banking, this is a great indication. When you regulate banking, what happens? When you squeeze a balloon, what happens? It bulges out here. So now what we have is, even as much regulation as they put on banking, we have this whole shadow banking occurring. Things that are not controlled in the least, which, again, derivatives is part of it, because derivatives are not controlled. Does the government control how much derivatives a bank can use? No. It's crazy. See, the Glass-Steagall Act passed in 1933. It was to separate consumer banks from investment banks. To separate consumer banks from investment banks, so that if investment banks went under, would it affect, guys, if consumer banks were separate from investment banks, if the investment banks went under, would there be a run on consumer banks? No. Why? Because they weren't going under. They're totally separated. Of course, in the wisdom of Washington, they decided to what? In 1999, they repealed it. Why? Because they thought it was a good idea. Guys, why did they repeal this? Tell me why they repealed the Glass-Steagall Act. Because they thought it was a good thing? Well, profit. Profit for who? Free enterprise. Guys, why did Washington repeal this law? Do you think it was a representative's idea? Do you think it was a senator's idea? Whose idea was it, guys? Lobbyists, Eric. You're exactly right, Casey. Lobby, lobby, lobby. Whose lobby? So was this repealed for the benefit of the United States citizen, or was this repealed for profitability for the Wall Street banks? And what did it do to us in 2000? What did it do to us in 2007? Guys, do you think that the fact that it's gone is helping us or hurting us? When investment banks rule, because think about this. These, for now, 5 years, they've been borrowing from the Fed at 0%. And the Fed gave them that money at 0% so they could loan it to who? Small business people, the consumer. Have they been doing that, guys? Instead, what have they been doing with that money? Something we would all like to do. How would we all like to get money for 0%? And I don't care if we made 1% at the local bank. That's huge money, isn't it? When we're using other people's money to wait 1%, 2%, but they're not satisfied with making 1 or 2%. What are they doing with this money that they're borrowing from the Fed at 0%? What are they doing with it, guys? Reinvesting it at 1%, 2%? What are they doing with this money they're borrowing from the Fed? What are they doing with it? No, it's not credit cards. What I just told you. Betting with it, Eric. What do you mean by betting? They're using it to do what with it? Putting it into what? We just talked about derivatives, Eric. They're putting it into derivatives. If you guys don't get how dangerous this is, you better not be advising clients. If you don't get how dangerous this is, you should not be advising clients, because then you're completely blind to what can happen to your clients. So why worry about all these leveraged banks? Well, because they're too big to fail, right? So they're thinking, why make an honest living when you could pay out huge bonuses like they do? And as a government, what have we just said? Wall Street is too big to fail. So they think, well, what the heck? Do they blame themselves for 2007? Did they learn their lesson? Are they doing, we just went through this. Are they buying less derivatives or 200 times more derivatives than they were in 2007? Did they learn their lesson? Not even. And who's going to pay for that? Our clients. So what can advisors do? You need to understand the financial landscape has changed, and more importantly, you need to communicate that to the clients. And I want you to understand things. What have advisors been telling clients forever? That stocks are safe what? Stocks are safe what? When are stocks safe? When are stocks safe, guys? What have advisors been telling the client and the public forever? Stocks are safe as long-term, Eric. And guess what all the mathematicians have said about stocks being safe for the long run? That's what? 100% unadulterated what? Saying stocks are safe for the long run is 100% unadulterated bunk, Dale. You're exactly right. Lies, exactly. And here, even Wall Street Journal says it. Here's an article out of Wall Street Journal. Despite the assurances of the financial industry, stocks are always a risky investment. And the longer you hold them, the better your chance of getting blindsided by a downturn. Guys, think about that. The longer you hold them, the better your chances of getting blindsided by a downturn. Is that what advisors tell their clients? Or is that the exact opposite of what advisors tell their clients? It's the opposite of what, but if you think about it, it makes sense. The longer you sit on the tightrope, the more likely what's going to happen. The longer you're in the tiger's cage, the more likely something's going to happen. The longer you're in the market, the more likely you're going to be blindsided by a downturn. Is that the way you talk to your clients? See, the usual way of mitigating risk, diversification, holds no guarantees either. Did we find that out in 2007, guys? Did diversification help anybody in 2007? Not at the least. Bonds, stocks, everything went down. Real estate, commodities, everything went down. It goes on to say, it may be hard, Wall Street Journal goes on to say, it may be hard to let go of the belief that buying and holding stocks is a surefire key to asset growth. But that's because people have been lulled into thinking long-term stock investing greatly reduces the risk. The truth is that stocks are risky no matter how long you hold them. There's a number of different approaches that demonstrate why the conventional wisdom about stocks is wrong. One of them has to do with bear markets, which happen regularly. The long growth stretch we had between 83 and the 1990s was not the norm. Guys, if you go back and look, it's not the norm. And the longer you hold on to your stocks, the greater your chance of running into those downturns. And what, again, are we finding about those downturns? Are they happening closer together or further together? The first one was 1929, right? And then the next one was 1976. And then the next one was 1987. The next one was 1990. The next one was 2000. Are they getting faster or closer together or further apart? They're getting closer together. Why? Because information is becoming more and more readily available, and people are able to move more and more in lockstep. And when people move in lockstep, that is danger. It's no different than gambling. Guys, if you go into the casino and within 1 hour you're up $10,000, what had you better do? If you're up $10,000, run. Exactly, Dale. Walk away. Because the longer you're in the casino, the more likely what's going to happen. You're not going to win. Now, why do we all think that we're going to win with the market? Why do we all think we're going to win with the market? Because when did we live our lives, guys? Well, we have one thing, Eric, is because we think we're so smart, but we think we're so smart because we've lived our lives during the longest bull market in world history. That's not how it works. What's more, the idea that stocks do well in the long run isn't a practical guideline for individuals. For one thing, the long run means something different to different people, depending on ages and goals. For some, 10 years, for others, 30. And while the odds of getting good stock performance over time are good, the consequences of a downturn can be severe depending on how steeply the markets decline. How much you have in the market and when the downturn affects your lifetimes. And we really have learned that over the last decade, haven't we? But when you're aiming to meet your aspirational goals, there's no way to limit your there is a way to limit your downside risk, Wall Street Journal says. So here's where they're talking about, hey, you can do direct purchases of options, or you can buy mutual funds using complex hedging strategies. These funds aren't as transparent as stocks, but they aim to protect your money. What's better than buying options in mutual funds that using complex hedging strategies, guys? What's better? Yes, fixed indexed annuity. Look at this one. And I've shown you this before. It's an unbelievable amount chart that's completely legal to use. Boom. Up. Here's the market. Then down. And up. Then down. And up. Then guess what's going to happen? Down. Just the guarantee on this fixed index annuity would have beaten the market. But when you add when it's up, you make money. When it's down, you don't lose any money. When it's up, you make money. When it's down, you don't lose any money. When it's up, you make money. Look at how your clients would have done. Would they rather be at 191 here or 137? Now, and Jeff, we were talking about this, Jeff, earlier. $80 billion in, we hear people say, well, rates are down, caps are down, nobody's buying FIAs. Well, $80 billion were sold last year in FIAs. And Jeff, how many $1 billion were sold in 1992 when caps were twice or three times as high?
Yeah, it stayed pretty steady. When they first came out about $80 billion, there was a time there when it's been up to 120. But it stayed pretty steady at about $80–90 billion a year. So people are
selling them.
Somebody's selling them, yeah.
and people are buying them. Now, who knows who the Mint is? The Mint is the do-it-yourselfer's Bible when it comes to finances. The Mint is the do-it-yourselfer's Bible when it comes to investing. So let's look at do-it-yourself investing. So let's see what they say. The fallacy is that investing in the stock market is less risky over long periods than short periods of time. It's not. It's riskier. That's not my opinion. It's a mathematical fact. Just as we talked about, when you go into the casino, it's a mathematical fact. The longer you stay in, the more likely you are to be a loser. It's well known to academic financial experts. Of course, how many academic financial experts are employed by Wall Street firms, guys? How many academic financial experts are employed by Wall Street firms? Virtually none. Why? Why don't Wall Street firms want to employ academic financial experts? Because financial experts tell the truth. They use research. They don't say things to sell things. They say things because that's what the research shows. But here's the thing. It's also a mathematical fact by option traders. And these guys are smart. Are option traders smart or not smart? They are really the smartest when it comes to risk, aren't they? They're the experts when it comes to risk. It's also supported by historical evidence, but it's largely ignored by the public and financial advisors and Wall Street alike. In more normal terms, we have panics, asset bubbles, financial crises, recessions, flash crashes. Part of the reason we expect high returns from stocks is because we know that these things can and do happen, and we demand to be compensated for dipping into a risky pool. The reason we make more money in the market is because we know we can lose money in the market. Do your clients really get that? The reason we make more money in the market is because we know we can lose money in the market. But how many people are disconnected with those two facts? And the longer we stay in the market, the more likely we are to experience a disaster, just like the casino guys. The longer you're in the casino, the more likely you are to experience a disaster. Just like the longer you stand on a sketchy street corner, the more likely you are to be mugged, they say. You can believe that stocks have higher expected returns and the general trend of the market is up. I believe both, this writer says. You can invest in stocks. He says, I do. And you can also understand that stock investing is risky and you have no idea how much money you're going to end up with at the end of a long investing career. So he says, I'm in the market, I buy stocks, I believe that it's going to do well, but I'm also under the impression that what? I could lose it all. So that means how much does he put in the market, guys? How much do you think this writer puts in the market knowing this? Only what he can afford to what? Lose. He only put, not all, he only puts in there what he can afford to what? Lose. Is that how you and your clients are investing? See, it could be much less or much more than you expect, but do you want to risk that? So I want you to understand here the difference between growth. How long does it take to build a city, guys? How long does it take to build a city? Unless you're in China. It takes years and years and years to build a city. How quickly can a city disappear? Boom. How long does it take for a forest to grow? How long does it take for a forest to disappear? Boom. How long does it take to build a house? How long does it take for a house to sink in a sinkhole? Boom. How long does it take for retirement accounts to grow? How long does it take for a market to crash? Boom. There's a lot difference between how long it takes to build something and how quickly it can disappear. Do your clients understand that? Do you understand that? What's the solution to this? A fixed index annuity is the solution. So, could you use this as a mini seminar? If you're asked to speak someplace, do you think this is information that the public should know about? Do you think this is, first of all, do you think this is information the public even gets or understands? I would venture to guess that really before I read and researched this, I didn't know that all these things had changed in the last 10 years. I am much more risk averse now, 3 weeks after researching this, than I was a month ago. Why? Because I understand all these risks that we're talking about. Are they anything that I can control? Any of those risks, are they things that I can control? None. I can't control any of those risks. So I better make sure that no matter what I do or put my money, I'm not affected by any of those risks. Okay? So, is this worthwhile information for you to know about and for you to speak to your clients about, guys? This is, I think, something that you should all be talking to your clients about. And this is basically the poster presentation for why you need to be in fixed index annuities, because it's the only way you can prevent your clients from getting clobbered. And what's sad about that is what is the SEC, what is FINRA, what are the people that control us? They keep insisting clients should have what, guys? What do they keep insisting our clients should have? With suitability, diversity. And by diversity, they mean that our clients have to be in what? What do you mean by that, Jeff? Diversity. They think our clients have to be in what? The market, right, Jeff? Which is what? Bull crap. But those are the rules right now. So we have to work around them. But how much should you push towards the safe side versus the risky side? I think immensely. Immensely. So I know I've been on my soapbox, but gosh darn it, guys, we need to understand this. We have our clients' livelihoods in the palms of our hands. What we recommend to them can be the difference between the poor house and a comfortable retirement. And we have to understand the responsibility of that. And let's be straight. Can any growth we give them really change their lives? Can the growth we give them really change? Our clients are mostly retired. They're past the saving stage. They're not 20 years old. They're 60 years old. Can any growth we give them really change their lives, guys? No. But what could change their lives in a couple of days? Having their investments unravel. So we can't really change their lives by growing their money, but we can certainly change their lives by losing their money. So please use this information. And if we get enough requests for it, we'll put together this PowerPoint and get it out to you. But so if you want this, go ahead and email support@5qgroup.com. You might not get it for a week or so, but we'll put it in a format that we can actually give it to you. But geez, if you're being asked to speak somewhere, or even at these breakfast clubs, it'd be that Pam was nice enough to talk to us about. This is information that needs to be out there. And what does it make you look like? I think it makes it look like somebody who gets what we're talking about, right, Casey, an expert. So go ahead and email support@5qgroup.com. If we get enough people that want that, we'll put that together, but it probably won't be available for about a week or so. We'll have it available by the end of the week for you, so we can get it to you, so you can use it at your leisure. So again, I apologize for getting on a soapbox, but geez, guys, this is just so important, and who's talking about it? Nobody. So it's our job to talk about it, okay? So thanks Pam for sharing the Breakfast Club. Thanks you guys for letting me get on my soapbox here. But please do something with this information. Put your clients in a better position. Be strong when it comes to making sure your clients understand what it is that we're doing here. And Missy, you're going to say something?
I was just noticing I would like to have this in PowerPoint. We will post the call as normal. I know that Boyd's fairly new with us, so I just want to make sure that everyone's aware. We will post the call, and I will go ahead and get that invite from Pam, and I'll post that when I get that as well.
Super. So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening today. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next Monday. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.